Olá, queridos heróis! Prepare-se para a primeira entrevista de Tobey, Tom e Andrew Garfield aqui no canal Heróis e Mais. Eles que deram entrevista, Elvis...
Aqui no canal não, a gente vai reagir, né?
Nós
três aqui, quem dera.
Nós vamos assistir junto com vocês, né?
Exatamente. Essa entrevista, cara, foi a primeira entrevista que eles deram, como o Tony falou, e tá bombando aí na internet.
Bombando demais.
A gente ia traduzir essa entrevista. E aí um anjo chamado Lucas Gabriel, ali do canal Universo Astronômico, a gente vai deixar o link aqui da entrevista que ele traduziu, mas a gente vai fazer uma reação dessa entrevista. Lucas, muito obrigado, cara.
Uhul! E nós vamos assistir junto com vocês. Eu tô feliz. Pra mim, eles estão dando entrevista pra nós.
Pois é.
Então vamos lá, cara. Os três juntos, primeira vez.
Vamos pra entrevista. Coloca em alta definição lá.
Lembrando pra você que você já vai deixando o like aí, cara. Não esquece de se inscrever no nosso canal. Não esquece de deixar aquele like bacana. E vamos lá, vamos assistir.
Vamos assistir aí.
Hi there, I'm Pete Hammond and happy to moderate this session. I am the only one you are looking at on the screen who has never played Spider-Man, and this is exciting. I think it's almost historic. We have the three in the last 20 years of this franchise. Tobey Maguire, who of course started it all with the first three Spider-Men. Hi, Tobey.
Parabéns aí pro Tobey. Tem que ser.
Tem que fazer reverência mesmo.
And then of course Andrew Garfield, who carried it on in the next two. Hey.
O Andrew também é muito bom.
And now Tom Holland, who's completed his first trilogy. We'll find out if there's more. With Tom Holland right here.
O Tom Holland que é...
And wow, I have to say,
Deixa o cara melhorou.
Did any of you have any idea that this movie would have the impact that it's had around the globe?
O impacto do filme,
claro, velho.
I think even for Spider-Man. I mean, Tom, did you?
Nós falamos isso aqui direto, né, Elvis? Se tiver os três, vai ser
top, foi.
I mean, I think I always knew that this film would be loved around the world. I didn't think it would be quite as massive as it has been. You know, one of my favorite things to do at the minute is to go online.
Humildade, né?
Não, cara, mas
sendo
assim,
humilde, né?
Não, mas cara,
não, ele não sabia do impacto, né?
Não, cara,
porque tá crescendo muito, Elvis.
Mas Tony, como não sabia do impacto? Tu acha que a Sony e o Kevin Feige,
mas só
acho que a Marvel? Não, cara, mas assim, colocar os três Homens-Aranha, cara, do jeito que foi colocado, e você fazer a evolução do Homem-Aranha, da Terra principal, do Tom. Bicho, pelo amor de Deus, só um cara realmente assim, muito lelé da cuca não ia saber que isso não ia dar certo, cara.
Não, dá certo.
Só não bateu Vingadores por causa da pandemia.
Mas possivelmente vai bater.
Vai bater.
Fans' reactions to you guys coming in, that one scene in particular. I don't think I could ever have imagined it being so well received by everyone. So no, I mean, I guess I had an idea that people would love this movie, but in no way, shape or form could I have thought it was going to be as big as it has been. And it's been, you know, only the last couple of weeks have I sort of really come back to reality and come home and started to face real world problems. And it feels like we've been on some sort of really weird dream. It feels really strange.
Isso aí é verdade.
O Aranha da realidade, né?
It's so exciting. I had the advantage of being at the very first press screening, so to me it was brand new, which is the way anybody should see a movie. And when Tobey and Andrew come in, that audience reaction was like nothing I've experienced in a long time, and especially now in the age of
realmente, ninguém experimentou isso no cinema, realmente. Filme de super-herói, nunca.
Foi a primeira vez, os caras foram pioneiros, cara.
Tobey and Andrew, I have to ask you though, how did you get involved? I mean, when they came to you, I can't imagine, Tobey, they said, "Oh, we want you to do Spider-Man again."
Agora vai contar como é que o Tobey aceitou, né?
Isso, vamos lá.
Yeah, I went and had a meeting with Amy and Kevin.
Amy Pascal e Kevin Feige.
And had talked about
os poderosos, né?
Teased it. I think Amy was like, "We'd love to talk to you. You know what this is about." And
claro,
I was like, okay, sure. Let's have a chat.
And I think it's with Amy, you're like, no, I don't, Amy, no.
Yeah, no, I know.
Lembrando que mérito pro Kevin Feige, Elvis. Mérito pro Kevin Feige que quando Kevin Feige era produtor do primeiro Homem-Aranha, do Tobey, Kevin Feige estava lá, ele quis colocar o Hugh Jackman para fazer uma participação no filme do Tobey no número 1 de 2002.
Já para tentar fazer ali um universo.
O Kevin, ele é meio perturbado assim com algumas besteiras, mas ele tem muito de fã, né, Elvis? Muito de fã nessa questão aí.
Maybe you could just give me a little bit of information, but I don't know. I gotta say I was intrigued immediately. Like,
ele foi conversar com ele sem saber o que era a conversa, né?
Ele já sabia, né?
The kind of love and celebration of these movies and what it meant, I think, to Amy and Kevin was apparent. And to me, when artists or people who are steering the creative process have a kind of authentic, genuine intent of celebration and love, it just was so apparent in both of them that I don't know, I just wanted to join that. And I'm a big fan of Tom and those movies and Andrew, so it was definitely intriguing, but yes, I was also going, well, what are we gonna do?
Não, é importante falar isso aí, porque assim, o cara como artista, né, e a gente sabe que o Andrew, a gente sabe que o Tobey Maguire já tá num ponto da sua idade que ele não vai pegar mais esse tipo de personagem.
Sim.
Então assim, vale muito a pena para ele, e tanto não só ele como o Andrew, que é bem mais jovem, vale muito a pena, cara, entrar nesse projeto.
Claro.
E o jeito que o Kevin Feige e a Amy trouxeram para ele conseguiu, claro, né? Ele conseguiu ali ser convencido. Ele conseguiu ser convencido ali. Não só por isso, né? Mas também pela importância dele como ator. Ele deixou isso claro, né?
And that was a bit mysterious. I did appreciate what was shared, but it was really about getting together with these people and revisiting, what was part of my history and getting a chance
parte da história dele. Olha aí como ele respeita, né?
There are personal things too, which are
foi o papel da vida do cara, né?
Mas chegaram a falar que o cara não tava mais nem aí, né, cara?
A way to revisit and
claro que ele tava aí, cara.
I'm not quite sure how to
Também
put
tem
it.
isso.
Just to get back into that, and I don't want to say like close the chapter, but revisit and have certain resolutions, and just join in this like loving creative spirit.
Yeah, it's amazing. What about for you, Andrew? I thought, well, with Tick, Tick, Boom and with the eyes of Tammy Faye, we've seen a lot of Andrew Garfield in fantastic performances this year alone.
Exatamente,
When I saw this movie, I
é o melhor ator dos três, indiscutível. É o Andrew Garfield.
Também acho.
Back in this costume and this franchise. So for you, what was it like going back?
Well, I was just waiting to see if Tobey was going to do it, and if Tobey was going to do it.
Ele ficou esperando.
I was like, well, I have no choice, I followed Tobey to the
É claro que ele esperava o outro dizer sim, né?
Tobey. But that was sincerely a big part of it, when I was approached about it, and again, in a similar way to what Tobey was saying, it was like, the intention feels very pure here. It actually feels like a great creative idea and a great creative story. It wasn't like they were just asking us to come and say hi and then leave again, but actually have our presence being in service to Tom.
Yes, cara.
Being in service to Tom's journey and where he is as Peter Parker, and how I love the destiny feeling of the multiverse expanding in this film, and actually
todo nerd gosta, né, cara? Universos se expandindo, multiversos.
At this very moment, he may not become the Peter Parker that he's supposed to become.
Exatamente.
I love that there's and that maybe he would have lost his girlfriend, and that maybe he would have gone down a darker path if Tobey hadn't have given him that kind of mentorship moment, that better angel kind of moment. So it was those things. I get chills thinking about it even now. So for me, it was like, and it's the same kind of judgment call with any script or any film. It's like, is this a story worth telling, and do I want to work with these people? And it was a big double kind of capitalized yes, and then it exceeded my expectations, because the way that Tom and Zendaya and Jacob are as a trio is just like a kind of magical heaven kind of friendship. and then so welcoming of me and Tobey into the gang, and then the way that Tom works with John Watts and Kevin and Amy, it's like it's very open, it's very free, and so Tobey and I felt
o tratamento que deram para eles foi muito especial.
To play and to kind of find our way into being of service to Tom's story in this way. And it was just a kind of joyful few weeks that we all got to spend together, which I you know, could have been an absolute, not like you kind of think, well, getting 3 Spider-Men together could go one of 2 ways. And I think it's a testament to these guys that it went the way that it went, which was a brotherhood, which is just beautiful.
I have to say, Toby,
demais,
read
cara.
this morning Sam Raimi just praising this reunion of all 3 of you, are the you know, putting you all on.
Falando do Sam Raimi, galera. Sam Raimi, diretor de Doutor Estranho 2.
The original director here, I think.
How sweet! I haven't seen that.
Yeah, just came out this morning. Someone.
Falando, Elvis, que o Sam Raimi elogiou demais, e isso, galera, nós temos um vídeo aqui sobre Doutor Estranho 2, e possivelmente Tobey deve aparecer. Sam Raimi não vai perder essa oportunidade. Se não aparecer agora, aparece depois.
Cara, voltar pro jogo, né? Voltar aí pra esses filmes de muito sucesso, cara. Não tem como não admitir que hoje o cinema é dominado por essas franquias, cara. Sim. Não tem como não admitir. Os
blockbusters de hoje, né, Elvis?
Asked him one of the trade papers, and he just had high praise. Tom, for you, working with them, I'm wondering, did you have any kind of rehearsal time to get used to this idea, or did you just jump in and you're all in your Spider-Man motif here?
Yeah, it was daunting. It was very
Com certeza, cara.
We were a long way into shooting before you guys showed up. You know, we were maybe 3 months into principal photography. And, you know, the date of the Spider-Mans are coming was etched on my calendar, and I was getting closer and closer and closer. And, you know, the closer and closer I got, the more nervous I was.
Com certeza. Eu também teria ficado muito ansioso, cara. Com certeza. Você é louco. Imagina você ver os caras chegando assim, pô, cara, eu vou contracenar com vocês. Aí, o primeiro ensaio falando, o primeiro...
My support system, like, I'm gonna go meet these guys, I'm really nervous about it, we have to read the scene, and I don't know how this is gonna go, because we're all playing the same character, and we all have to bring our own kind of heart and soul into this, and, you know, it means a lot to them, and it means a lot to me.
A cara dos dois, vendo ele falar, cara, acho que eles ficam muito orgulhosos, né?
But I think it was really strange, and almost a little unfair, how they had us put the suits on, and then just jump around in front of a camera together. Like, that was one of the most bizarre experiences of my life. And again, Jacob was there for that to support me. But it was an amazing experience.
Ele foi com os amigos,
From day
cara.
one, it was a roller coaster that I didn't want to get off. And it was a lot of fun. And like you said, Andrew, like, it was so collaborative, it was so playful. You know, from you cracking Tobey's back to you coming up with the idea of pointing at us, like, it was all stuff that we came up with on the day. And it was just a lot of fun.
Cara, foi ideia do Andrew fazer o meme, cara.
Foi, né?
Foi ideia do Andrew fazer o meme. Olha lá. Aí. Caramba, que massa, velho.
Play with 3 guys in Spider-Man suits. It was a strange experience, but one that I won't ever forget.
Yeah, you know, and how did you guys keep this a secret? So well,
o segredo. Como foi o segredo, né? O segredo não tão segredo assim, né?
Social media and the internet.
Mas esse é a magia, né? É você ter quase certeza.
Quase certeza.
Você tem quase certeza que o negócio vai dar certo. É quase certeza. Não é possível. Vai rolar isso aí. Você tem quase certeza. E os caras ficam dizendo, não vamos fazer, eu não vou participar. Aí você, poxa, cara, mas tem todas, tá tudo colidindo pra ser verdade. Os 2 caras estão na cidade que vai gravar o filme. Os 2 caras emagreceram. Não, cara.
Speculation and did they threaten you with anything here or what?
Yeah, the worst of it though, Andrew, because you were doing press for months. Yeah, like
out there, man. I'm like out there, and everyone's like, "Why is Andrew Garfield on a press tour just denying Spider-Man?" Like the other 2 films. I'm like, dudes, like look at this stuff. So yeah, no, I definitely think I had the hardest time.
You had the worst part of it.
Mas o Andrew foi pego numa pegadinha, né? Foi quase que ele entrega numa entrevista aí.
For the sake of that audience reaction, I think. So, and I know, I equate it to like, you know, when you're organizing a surprise birthday party for someone that you love, and they keep saying, "Mate, just tell me I hate surprises. You know I hate surprises, but deep down you know they will love the surprise."
Uma festa, né, surpresa.
I justified my ethical.
E foi uma festa, né?
Like
Cinema ficou louco.
Behavior. I call it fibbing more than lying. Right. It was quite. I kind of enjoyed it. It was quite fun, and it felt like a game of that game Werewolf or Mafia, where you know you're the werewolf and you have to convince everyone that you're not. So I kind of like turned it into a little bit of a game for myself. I don't know, and it did result in this kind of like, even though there were all these leaks and all this stuff happening, I think like there was enough doubt in everyone's mind.
O que eu falei,
going,
né?
oh God, what if it isn't?
Tem dúvida, sempre ficou a dúvida.
And then,
magia,
so
né?
when we did, it kind of gave them that little bit of icing on top of an already incredibly deep. Like I watched the movie with Tobey for the first time, and I was in pieces. Like this is a deep movie. This isn't just fan service, which you know it partially is, but like this is a movie that is about a coming of age, like an acceptance of loss, acceptance of death, taking responsibility for your gifts, and like I was torn open by the journey that Tom went on, and that he was having to. It was just
Tudo que o filme conseguiu passar, né?
Having to split with
A jornada do herói do Tom. O foco era do Tom, sempre no Tom, claro, mas os dois estavam ali fazendo parte disso, né?
Isso é o que ele falou agora, mas ele se tornou o clássico Homem-Aranha, o clássico Peter Parker. Ele se tornou aquele Peter Parker que a gente queria que ele fosse, não aquele...
que o Nerdola queria, o Nerdola quis, e o Nerdola conseguiu.
Não aquele cupincha lá do Homem de Ferro, cara.
Tom's origin story was happening in his third movie rather than his first. Like there's something so profound. So the film I feel stands alone without me and Tobey showing up. I hope we enhance it, but like I think John and Tom have made just something actually that is exceptionally moving, especially for young people. You know, I think it's a beautiful film.
Yeah, Tom, it is highly emotional. You have those close-ups of you know, with Aunt May, and then beyond, and the whole coda. You know, if you haven't seen the movie, hold your ears, because that ending is really touching it, and it's unlike what we've seen before in the Spider-Man universe. So to play that must have been emotional too, I would think.
Came from the act of saying goodbye, which is one of the biggest themes throughout this film. So, you know, thankfully I was able to draw on my own experience and my own feelings in those moments. But this film also felt like a huge celebration. You know, this movie really is a celebration of
Com certeza, cara. É uma celebração mesmo.
Claro, filme foi uma surpresa, né, cara?
Emotional that, you know, they're very taxing, and I was so happy to be there that I had to go at it a different way and kind of go, wow, look at my life, look what's happened to me. I'm working with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, and we're telling this story, and I would get emotional at kind of how proud I was of the situation that we were in, and that what we were doing, and that I really believed in what we were doing. So yeah, it was tough, but you know, anything hard is worthwhile. And you know, I was happy to superhero.
E ele falou antes, né? Esse filme vai ser muito triste. Ele disse antes.
So a lot of it was drawing on my own kind of feelings as we went along.
Yeah, Tobey,
como ator foi a melhor interpretação dele.
Foi.
I did a little interview with Amy Pascal, and she described it that way. She said this movie is a culmination of 20 years.
Sim.
What began with you and your three.
E ele vai durar muito tempo. Esse filme vai durar muito tempo a mais, muito mesmo.
When you looked at this is like the end of one thing, maybe the beginning of another somehow, but the end here of what you started.
Well, I'll say I remember being on set, and it was, I believe, our last day, Andrew, and it was really amazing. And I had the awareness of this, you know, the 20 years of history, but looking at Amy and Kevin and realizing that they've been there through all the different iterations, and it was really powerful. Just personally, it was really powerful. It was powerful for me to be working with Andrew and Tom, and powerful in a legitimately moving, emotional way. and then to witness Amy and Kevin and consider their journeys through all the films, it was really impactful. And yeah, I was just grateful every day. It was such a rich experience, and as the guys have touched on, the kind of thing and the brotherhood of it, it was just so rich, emotional, and I don't know, I'm not like sitting there conceptually thinking about that all the time, but I would have moments where that kind of stuff would hit me. You know, day to day, it was just a beautiful kind of unfolding of this story and these relationships. So I was more just like in that on the day to day, but I'd have these like reflection moments, which were quite powerful and elegantly woven ultimately, because it's actually, you're thinking about taking 20 years of history and revisiting that, and how do you
desde 2002, né, cara? 20 anos de história aí. Foi uma celebração realmente.
Com certeza, cara.
The characters we're playing the same character, but they're also unique, and the way those films and characters evolved in those films are unique, and then to bring all of that together, including you know, all of our super villains and all of that, it was pretty wild to witness the immensity of all of this history coming together and being put into what Andrew is saying is this, you know, standalone, worthwhile story. And I too just wanted to say with the coda of the movie, I was really touched emotionally, but also I just thought it had such a sweet elegance to it. Like that was so amazing.
Realmente o filme tem uma certa elegância mesmo, como ele fala, né, Elvis? E ele é o personagem mais elegante de todos os três, né?
Exato.
É o mais...
Não, o Tobey Maguire é a cereja do bolo, né?
É o mentor ali, digamos assim.
Sweet, sad, elegant touch. It was just beautiful.
Realmente.
Yeah, it's a remarkable movie, the way they did this. I got a big shout out here to John Watts, who I had seen Cop Car, and I think the first time I talked to you, Tom, it was with John when you had done the first Spider-Man, and all I could do is talk about this little movie Cop Car that he did and think, wow, this guy's going somewhere. What was it like working with John on this film for you guys? Andrew and Tobey had not before. Obviously, Tom had. What was that experience like?
It's so funny because what Tobey just said about the kind of, in those moments of awareness where you realize that we were bringing in 20 years of history and then some into a frame every day. That hugeness that I know that we only got a sense of in moments, and I remember maybe the first time I got a sense of it where I think we were on a scaffolding and like we were talking to Doctor Strange, who wasn't actually there, and Tom turned to us and said, there's something that doesn't feel quite right about this, it feels a bit awkward, or like we just kind of stood here and both me and Tobey were like, yeah, this feels a little weird, we feel a little odd, and then in that moment John Watts comes up the scaffolding, goes, that's the movie, that's it, we got it, it's the part of the film, this is the moment, we're all like...
Tô falando do diretor, né, que o diretor mandava eles fazer um monte de coisa ao mesmo tempo, né?
And it was just the three of us in our suits in the same frame. And just
Queria ver várias vezes eles no mesmo quadro, e isso aconteceu muito, né? Uma coisa que eu gostei demais no filme foi que todos tiveram partes iguais. Tempo de tela iguais.
Pois é, cara, a questão principal desse filme é como os outros Homens-Aranha, né, o Tobey e o Andrew, foram colocados. Eles, além de ser um suporte para o crescimento do Tom, né, do Peter Parker do Tom, eles tiveram o seu protagonismo, cara.
Sim.
Foi realmente muito bem feito. O filme tem problemas, como a gente já falou, tá? O filme não é perfeito, mas é um filme de celebração, é um filme muito bom e vale a pena assistir
várias vezes.
To itself for Spider-Man fans the world over, and I think it was at that point where I was like, oh no, people are gonna like this movie a lot, you know, like, or this element of things. But in regards to the bigness that Tobey was talking about, it also mostly just felt very small.
A visão dele é diferente da do Tom, né? Ele já sabia que esse filme ia ser muito sucesso, né?
The tone of these films that Tom and John have created together feel like Michael J. Fox, John Hughes, indie.
Vai falando dos outros, né, galera?
Small
Não
details,
pode esquecer dos vilões, dos outros atores também.
Humor, proper, deep, intimate love stuff with huge scope, but like at the essence of it is just pure heart, and that's what it felt like with John. It felt like I was just so overwhelmed by how unperturbed he was by what he was trying to achieve. Like, it was so big objectively, but his calmness, his ability to allow actors to improvise, to play, and then for him to throw out wild ideas in the mix, to let takes run, to give us time to really find what we were doing, and to go down the wrong path to then find towards the new path, the right path. I was just incredibly impressed and actually just really grateful for the experience with John. He's someone that he's a real actor's director, and that is especially hard.
O diretor, galera, ele se superou nesse filme. O roteiro ajudou demais, os atores ajudaram muito mais. Se superaram. Todo mundo superou.
Of a film that does have this scope, and I know that Tom will be able to talk to that even better than me.
Yeah, Tom, that's quite a collaboration you've had for the last 3 films with him, and he's done a really interesting job with this.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, John and I spoke yesterday for the first time since the film has been released, and I think it took us so long because we needed time to just kind of let the dust settle. And then we spoke yesterday.
Curiosidade é interessante, hein? Eles não se falaram muito depois do filme, né?
É porque quando você passa muito tempo com uma pessoa assim no trabalho, você meio que principalmente esse trabalho artístico, né? Você acaba entrando muito na área de proteção da outra, né?
Sim.
Porque você como diretor e você como ator, você precisa explorar, né? O diretor, ele explora, né, a parte de interpretação ali dos atores. Então isso meio que deixa...
Esse afastamento é necessário.
É necessário. É uma ressaca. Era essa palavra que eu estava esperando.
Para você digerir um pouco...
Isso, você tem uma ressaca da pessoa ali, você tem uma ressaca do trabalho, então você se afasta um pouco para deixar
mentalmente ficar melhor, né?
As coisas voltarem ao normal.
And what we've achieved. You know, I'm talking to him like, I remember meeting you for the first time in my trailer. I was 18 years old. And you had never directed a movie like this before, and both of us hadn't a fucking clue what we were doing. We were both like, I was petrified, he was petrified, and then on this movie, we were able to put our best foot forward, go there day one, and feel.
Claro, é uma evolução, cara. Evolução para todos.
And it's just been one of those relationships
eu falei, né, cara? Eles se superaram.
You know, John and I have no boundaries with each other. You know, we have no fear in telling each other how it is and being honest.
Tá vendo?
I think when you make these kind of movies, it's very important to make sure that you don't lose the heart and soul of why you started doing this in the first place. And I think John Watts was the perfect person to kind of keep that throughout the trilogy.
O segundo...
For me as an actor, he's kind of...
Primeiro legalzinho, segundo e esse muito bom.
Fechou com chave de ouro.
And he'll always set you on the right track, and he's someone that you can really trust. He's incredibly creative, you know. He never sacrifices quality for quantity, you know, like he is the kind of person that will shut a scene down and say we're done for the day.
Agora rasgando elogios, né, pro John Watts, né?
Cara, o filme é bom mesmo. Isso aí
dirigiu bem, né, Elcio?
So I've always really appreciated his bravery to say to the studio, I'm finished for the day. I'm not shooting this scene until we come up with something better. I think that's an incredible quality and something I know I couldn't have done.
Eu sempre diz aqui o seguinte, que o diretor, ele é responsável. Ele tem responsabilidade. E ele tem que ter voz ativa, né? Eu sempre falo isso, e realmente é certo. E John Watts, pelo que o Tom tá dizendo aqui, ele é o tipo de diretor que está fazendo isso.
Isso, né? E é como ele fala, ele encerrava, não, por hoje acabou porque a gente não está conseguindo chegar na qualidade que eu quero.
Exatamente.
Então acabou, vamos começar amanhã. É isso aí, cara.
We'll shoot 4 hours over until we figure it out. Don't tell me what to do. So yeah, so I've always been a huge fan of John's, and he's a great friend, and I'm so glad that you guys had just as an amazing experience with him as I have.
I have to ask you, Tobey, I'm sure people are wondering, so what was it like? These costumes, the costume designs, it's, you know, iconic.
Vai falar um pouco dos designs, eu acho que roupas, né? Vestir o uniforme de novo.
You know, once you get through the process of, you know, really peeling it onto your body, it was, I don't know, a lot of things. It was uncomfortable getting it on, and then it's a goof, and then it also has a sort of, you know, I guess a sort of a power in a sense, because it brings me back into that character. It really does. There's so much affinity for this character. It means so much to so many people. That,
Isso,
you know,
cara.
once the
Pensa
sort of
nos
goof
fãs, cara. Pensa nos fãs. Continue assim que você vai bem.
You know, once that goes away, you're like, oh wow, this is cool. This is that sort of a responsibility, but a blessing, like something that I get to do that I'm grateful for. And so that was fun, but honestly, like being with these guys, it really was just a much richer experience than I anticipated, or that I could really even express in words. I know that's not the question about the suit, but the suit is, it just, to get to be there with these guys in their suits, and whether it was like
ternos
dancing
aí
around or playing around with
uniformes.
scenes
Suits
and improving, or
no sentido de roupa mesmo, de
you know, feeling that kind of sense of service to each other, and the character being in service to humanity. It really gives a certain perspective, and then the kind of trust and openness that I had with these guys, and John and Amy and everyone, it just brought this really open, I don't know, I just felt super safe, and like we were all on the same team and all in support of each other, and it just brought out this.
Não houve uma competição, né?
Yeah, I don't know how to put it other than just like this really loving, fun, creative experience that I was just like sitting in gratitude every day. Which is not always the case when you're working on something, you know, even just from the standpoint of like trying to figure out what you're doing, and it wasn't without its challenges, but it all just unfolded the way it needed to, or whatever. Just, it had a sense of this kind of destiny to it as well. So I guess the suit was the doorway to that.
Exatamente, o traje foi só a porta de entrada para sentir tudo isso, cara. Interessante demais, muito bom.
É uma nostalgia, né, cara? Uma nostalgia que os dois devem ter sentido muito, e eles vão vestir isso de novo. Escreva o que a gente está dizendo.
O terceiro filme de Andrew Garfield e o quarto do
people say,
Tom.
oh, it's the beginning of the end, and everybody's going to sit on their couch and watch movies at home and things. And this movie.
Tá falando do futuro agora, né, Elvis? Quando vir pro serviço de streaming, né? Não sabemos se vai pro Disney Plus.
Provavelmente pode ir para HBO Max.
HBO Max, né? A Sony tem parceria. Não sabemos.
Os filmes do Andrew Garfield estão lá já.
Pois é, não sabemos para onde é que vai. Pode ir pros dois. Por que não?
Pode ir pros dois, é. Passa um tempo num, vai pro outro.
To be seen, and this is the perfect example of a movie that if you can in any way see it with an audience, the collective experience of watching this movie is, again, it's like unlike anything I've seen in a long time.
O cara dando testemunho dele de quanto foi muito diferente de assistir um filme assim, cara. O quanto foi inovador, né, Elvis?
Movies are going to go on to give me hope. You know, for this, Tom, you in particular, you might go on and do more Spider-Man? I'm going to try to get a scoop here.
A cara deles, ó. Ele tá procurando saber se vai ter alguma coisa no futuro.
The truth is, the truthful answer, and I've done a whole press tour where all I do is lie. The truth is, and you're not
Tudo que eu faço é mentir.
I don't know.
Mente mesmo.
Yeah. I don't know the answer to that question. This film, for me, was as special as an experience could ever be.
Tá mentindo de novo. Ele tá mentindo de novo.
Vai ter outro filme, não? Isso aí.
An alienating experience, because you know we're the only three blokes who have done it. So to share that with you two, and for it to have been such a wonderful experience, of which I have such amazing memories, I don't know, there's part of me that feels like it's the perfect time to jump off the building and swing off into the sunset and let the next lucky young kid come in to don the suit. I know I love this character, and I know that I am not ready to say goodbye. But if it is time for me to say goodbye, then I will do so proudly.
Com certeza, é melhor sair no topo, né?
É melhor sair lá em cima do que...
O que não aconteceu com os outros dois, né?
Foi.
Os outros dois saíram...
But at the moment, I don't know.
Well, we certainly
não sabe o que, cara? Tá sendo mentiroso.
And again, congratulations, Andrew, on all your other films this year, which are great, and I'm happy to say I've seen all of them in a theater, and they're all different. And all of you are big champions of independent filmmaking too. So
Todos
I love
são
what you said
campeões
about
mesmo.
this felt like an independent film in its own way, even on the scale that it was being produced. And you're all big champions of that throughout your careers. So keep it going, and thanks for joining us here and talking this rare opportunity to see 3 Spider-Men together. This is so exciting. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pete.
Isso aí, galera.
É, cara.
Bom, a gente vai encerrar por aqui, porque a entrevista foi longa. Você que ficou até agora, até o final, muito obrigado. Muito obrigado por estar aqui. Foi uma celebração pra nós também.
Celebração, cara. Que legal ver os 3 ali conversando. E, cara...
Primeira vez.
Primeira vez. E a gente que é fã, assim, do Homem-Aranha, a gente que é fã de super-herói. Cara, realmente esse foi um filme incrível, um filme muito bom, tá? A gente rasga a seda mesmo porque a sensação de assistir o filme, como o apresentador ali mesmo falou, né? O moderador ali do bate-papo ali, é novo. É uma sensação nova. Foi algo nunca visto antes. Isso é muito bom. A gente aqui tem um vídeo inteiro falando sobre o filme.
Sim.
Tem alguns problemas ali, alguns furos ali, mas nada prejudica esta obra. Foi maravilhoso.
Experiência. Um abraço do Tony.
E um abraço do Elvis.
Se inscreve no canal. Não esquece de deixar aquele like bacana. E não esquece, você também é um herói. Você também é uma heroína. Tchau, tchau.
Você também é um herói, agora vai começar. Está no ar, Heróis e Mais.